You have a shaky shot like this, where you held it handheld instead of using a tripod, or for some reason your camera shakes or something like that. We can use some stabilizing tools in Premiere to try to stabilize it a bit. Now this one's really rough. There's lots and lots of shakiness. That's because I did it handheld, which was a very bad move, but we'll see how Premiere deals with it. Now, ideally, it would be brought in as an image sequence, so I would probably import it as an image sequence, but I'd like to show you what to do if you didn't. So I'm going to bring in all the images into Premiere like so. I might create a folder like so, and I've shown all this stuff in the previous videos. I'm going to drag them in like that, and that creates a quick sequence, but now each one of these lasts for, each one of them lasts for 2 frames like I told it to do in my settings, but if it didn't, I could select them all, right click, speed duration, and just put 2 there. So if I play this through, it kind of drives off like that. Okay, neat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, of course you can see the camera's shaking a lot. Now the camera's also kind of zooming out. So that's one cool thing you could try to do in stop motion is move the camera so it's kind of moving away or close, you know, that kind of thing. Now in order for me to stabilize a shot, there's an effect in effects here. You can also just make sure you're in your editing thing to see it this way, or you can go to your effects tab and just find this effects folder. And you could type in and search for one called the warp stabilizer effect. Now this, I can click and drag it onto a clip and it will stabilize that clip, but now I don't have one clip, I have actually 12 shots here, or you'll probably have more shots if you didn't bring it as an image sequence. If you did bring it as an image sequence, you just apply this onto that sequence. But because I didn't, I need to turn this into one clip, and one way to do that is to select it all, right click, and go nest. What this does is essentially puts it into a folder. So I could call this video. There it is. So now it's kind of in a folder. If I ever want to go inside here, this is just a it's a sequence called video. That's where I currently am in, bit batch 10102, but it creates another sequence called video. So I could also just double click it and go inside it, and there I'm inside it. And I could play with the individual frames if I need, but you could also nest it to make it one clip. So now that you've done this, you can go Effect, Warp Stabilizer, put that on, and then you can hope that that works. The problem with Warp Stabilizer is it's not perfect. It's the computer trying to fix it. So if the camera is too shaky, you won't be able to fix it. But it might give us a good result. So now what it does is it says Analyzing Background, and you just wait for it to finish analyzing. If you want to have a look at what it's doing, you can go to your Effect Controls here. I'll close the Motion tab and Opacity tab, just so we can focus on Warp Stabilizer. And here are the settings. You could play around with these settings if you want, play around with what types of smoothing and stuff, but I'm just going to leave the default settings just because I don't want to get into it too much. And if I press play, you can see that it's a lot less shaky. It's still kind of shaky, but it's not as bad as it would have been. So give that a shot if you're having any issues.